introduce yourself real quick. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, I'm Dustin.
Dustin works with End User Services.
That's me.
He's our main man in helping put together these ADEPT stations. You do all these, do you do all the assembly, Dustin?
No, Biomedical typically does the assembly on the actual device, so we just provide the parts.
So you order all the parts?
Correct, ordering, and then we provide guidance to Biomed that they do the actual bolting on of devices onto the medical device.
I see, okay. And today we're here taking a look at the ADEPT station, the way they're put together with their pieces and parts, because there are probably some improvements we could make. And we want to take a kind of an in-depth understanding of kind of where the challenges are, how the pieces and parts are. And I'm putting this together for a couple engineers at ASI, so they really have a good idea of like, how is this thing put together?
Sounds good. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
So this is the Welch Allyn. This is the, I mean, what is that, 6800 Welch Allyn? I can't remember the series, the model name of it, but yeah. So the Welch Allyn vital device.
Let me move it around over this way, because I'm getting backlit over here, which is there you go. There you go. Much better. Much better. Okay.
So the iPad mounts on the side. You can see the scanners down below here.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, take that off. Okay. Okay. So the iPad's on the side. So, okay, and let's follow that around for a minute. How is this iPad on here?
So we can take a look on the side, and you can see underneath, especially if you come down, there's a little bracket here that attaches to the pole.
Oh yeah.
And so this is about, I think this is an 1.25" pole or a 1-inch pole.
Okay.
We have here.
Okay.
So the particular bracket we use goes up to 1.25".
Okay.
So, but it looks like it's a little bit.
It's just got like a little U bracket that just bolts on.
Yep,
U-bolt. Okay.
Standard U-bolt, and then goes to the mount. This company is Ram Mounts that makes this part, and you can buy all these devices. We just buy them right off the shelf.
Now is this whole thing a single piece that you buy together?
So this is 4 different parts that you're looking at here.
Okay.
So this mounting bolt, the U-bolt with this ball mount here.
Yeah.
And I can even kind of take this off so you can see how this mounts on here. So this little mounting ball here.
Oh, look at that.
The cables are short there, but you can kind of see this ball unit.
Yeah.
And so it just clamps on here, and so that's how kind of the basis of this
so like a shoulder,
works.
it lets it rotate.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a ball and socket joint.
Okay.
All these parts are some sort of nylon.
So that's the joint. Then you've got the pipe in between them.
Correct. So then this part here is an aluminum rod. This rod is actually 18 inches long when it's ordered. Our biomedical department cuts it down to size.
And do they shape it too?
Yeah, it's a bendable rod. So I mean, so we can, well, if it's had any upper body strength, you can. Oh. It's a flexible piece of aluminum.
Oh, I see. I see.
And so you can bend it to whatever shape you need. So they cut it down in size from the original.
Oh, and here it is.
Correct, and then it just gets sleeved there.
It's kind of like EMT.
Yeah, it's a solid. I mean, it's solid aluminum.
It's solid.
Solid, soft aluminum. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's some kind of alloy.
Yeah, it's just aluminum. It's just I did whatever grade of aluminum it's it's annealed or whatever, so it's pretty soft.
Then you've got another shoulder joint up here.
Correct.
Ball joint.
And then so you have the ball joint. So this ball joint here is a discrete unit that you have to purchase separately that then goes onto the back of the iPad mount. And Ram mounts, they have a variety of ball sizes for different weight capacities or strength or whatever situations.
Now this ball mount here, now this piece here feels like it's all part of the iPad frame.
This piece is integrated, the pedestal is integrated, and then you have this ball mount and the little foundation here is what bolts onto the little pedestal.
So somebody had to figure out how to mount this onto this?
No, this is part of their system. So this is all, they create modular systems. So this has its spacing of the bolt holes here, that's all spaced out so it mounts into this little pedestal.
Oh, okay, but is this made by the same company?
Correct. Everything you see here is all the same company.
Ram
mounts.
Ram mounts. Oh, okay. So even this thing.
Correct.
Now, is the locking frame part of Ram mounts too?
That's correct. Yeah, they provide everything from with the exception of the iPad and the charging cable is all provided by Ram mounts.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, while we're up here, you want to show us how you lock and unlock the frame?
Yeah, let me see if I have my key with me. I should have thought to bring that. Oh, no, I got it here. We're good.
Okay, let's see where.
Yeah, if you dive down under here, actually, we can just rotate it up.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect.
So, and you can see here, it's just a little lock and key. And then it pops out. The iPad charge cable feeds through the bottom here. So when it's sitting in the dock.
Okay, so that's probably got something that it's
just a
tightened.
clamp. Yeah, there's a clamp right there.
Okay, so all you have to do is slip it back in.
Correct. And so you just slide it back in. There's a little lever on the back that latches it back in place.
All right.
And then we lock it. And
Oh,
so
you got
these
the
have
top
actually
foot
worked
down.
pretty well. The only challenge with these is that, as you can see, the iPad's pretty unprotected from chemical or mechanical damage.
And do you get many physically damaged, mechanically damaged?
We've had
iPads?
two or three iPads. I mean, they all have some degree of, you can see chips and things on the edge of the screen here. Most of them they get an impact that's on the side here and cracks the display. So I think we've had maybe 3 that have gone down due to that.
So if you just had more of like bumper here.
Yeah, if it had
That
some
would
sort of
probably
shock
help.
mounting around here, or if it was, in some sort of a rubber sleeve, that would probably be enough to
Okay.
give it some degree of protection. Obviously, you're not,
Okay.
it's a glass device on the floor, so there's a good chance it's going to
Pretty
get
good
damaged.
problem. Okay.
Anyway, but we could mitigate a lot of that if there's a little more protection.
Okay, so that covers the armature, the 2 shoulder joints, the aluminum flexi pipe in between them, the locking frame. Everything comes from ram mount. Okay. And the biggest problem with these is these arms get broken.
That's correct. So typically, where we see failure is down in this area, and the mounts get separated and break off. The other issue that we have with these that's a constant issue is that they lose tension with the ball joint. And so you walk around the floor and you see a lot of them sitting down like that and flopping all over the place. Because they get hit and eventually the ball joint loosens or starts to wear out. And that's really common. Probably anyone you go out on the floor is going to be misadjusted and kind of flopping around.
So what rate your biggest problems? Like 1, 2, 3 with these armatures?
Biggest problem is definitely the security of this arm.
It flopping?
Because it flopping around, yeah.
The flopping's a problem.
Correct.
And so it's requiring constant readjustment.
That's correct.
And so eventually you just decide, well, it's broken, it can no longer be readjusted. I've got to order a new one.
No, or it actually physically breaks off because from being all the movement, either the ball wears out to a point that it's so worn down from moving that it's no longer able to tighten.
Okay, so that's
the actual physical, these nylon ends break.
These nylons.
From being impacted, and usually it cracks right in here.
Oh, right where the pipe is
just buckles
attached
between those 2 pieces.
Okay. And if that happens, is the ball joint broken, or you just need to put it in?
No, the ball joint's usually okay. It's just we just have to buy a whole new arm here.
Oh, so what happens is you have to buy the whole new arm.
Correct.
And the problem is that arm takes 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, my supply chain is really poor on that, so that's that's some of our challenge with these devices.
Okay, that's great explanation there.
The other issue you can see is the iPad cable is hanging out here, so it comes out at a fairly severe angle.
Yeah.
And as you can see earlier when I was twisting it around, it gets tensioned pretty tightly.
Oh, I see.
And so a lot of wear and tear right here at the jacket.
Yeah.
Which creates exposed wiring, which is a
that's a
issue
problem
on a patient care device. Also, it's exposed. Some of them I've routed the cable inside this plastic jacket.
Okay.
But then it tightens it up more, and then you get wear and tear at the exit node from where it slides out of this metal jacket.
Okay.
Or out of this plastic jacket. And
Okay.
so usually they're just zip tied in, and then it runs down along the frame here, which you can see on the back, which I would say probably is,
and then of course this takes us down to the little power harness.
Correct. And so you can see where this is just a standard Apple charging brick.
Yeah.
Once again, this is sitting at a pretty severe angle.
Yeah.
And so it wears out quite a bit there. It's also prone to just being stolen because all you have to do is, oh, cool, now I have an
Apple charger, which are what,
exactly.
15 or 20 bucks?
$15 Apple charger, yeah.
Nice.
For free.
how often does that happen?
Probably once about every 3 months. 2 or 3 months, I'd say. It's not
one Apple charger every 2 or 3 months, or per unit? No, okay.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not that often, but it does.
But it's a dribble.
It does happen, yeah. It's still something that we have to deal with. So.
Okay, so what's the worst part of the power unit? What are the biggest problems?
It's just that it's exposed here. It falls out all the time. It gets loose, and the iPads don't charge.
Okay, so
it's not protected from impact, and once again, because the way the cable's running.
So if this power harness were if the Apple charger couldn't be stolen, and the cables, do the cables get worn out or broken or something because the angle?
Frequently.
Okay, so if the cables were somehow more protected and the Apple charger couldn't be stolen, then that's the main problem with the power harness.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, are there any other problems? Now, I noticed. How about with the way these are mounted?
The scanner mounts are actually really good. The problem with the scanner mounts is and you'll see once I get you the billable list of parts, I'm still waiting on the quote back from our
Sure,
vendor.
sure.
So I have a similar setup that we use for these where it's a U-bolt that comes into an arm. It's a rigid arm rather than a flexible arm.
Oh, on the scanner?
Correct. And then the ram mounts also makes an adapter to go into the base of the Honeywell 1902 scanner.
So here,
And so in this case, our biomed guy had some extra parts for these, and he had a little L bracket that he was able to attach here. These are very robust. These have been worked out really well, and I rarely see damage to the scanner.
if it's got one of those. But that's not the normal way it's attached.
No, it's not a normal way it's attached, but even with the normal way, I don't really have too much issue with the scanner mounting just because it's a shorter arm.
Okay.
It's in under this kind of skirt here, so if there's going to be an impact, usually the top here is going to take the brunt of the impact rather than the scanner itself.
I see, okay. Is there any problem with everything remaining powered on?
No, I mean, so it's powered off, there's no battery backup, so right now it's not plugged in. The only issue I see is besides the Apple charger unseating, this occasionally, the wall wart here gets broken, or falls off. It doesn't get broken, it falls off. And then on the bottom of the scanner, you can't quite see it on this one, but there's a little right angle plug on the bottom that comes loose. That's really not that big of a deal. We can just walk up and push it in, and they're usually, I don't think I've had to replace one of these yet. So
Now is this now that I think I've seen a couple different ones of these.
Yeah,
I've seen a round
the
one.
Dynamaps, as you can see over here on the, well, you know,
We'll look at that in a moment.
We can
Okay.
look at the Dynamap. The Dynamap has a different model. On the Welch Allens, they typically use this Levitron model. I'm also looking for a price, and I'll include that on the list.
Okay. So it seems like if there was some way then, I mean, if there was some way to put like a little snap-on cage that secured these and protect the cables,
Sure.
then that would be a big help.
Or even if you just had a piece of, you know, like an aluminum bracket or something that held the iPad, you know, in place here, and then mounted on, it was just a rigid unit, and then you had your charging devices, you know, locked and secured underneath here.
Yeah.
Something like that would be great, and then just, you know, maybe one little power cable. You have a little power strip in the box here. One little power cable comes down to here. That's an actual robust, you know, something like this, or like right angle plug. Would be, you know, what I would say the ideal. I'm not an engineer, so.
No, but I know we're very interested in your thoughts. So
Yeah.
you'd say you could replace this one with just a rigid arm.
Yeah.
As long as it was
if you just had
pre-built.
something rigid that was, you know, you just said, okay, this is the angle it's going to display out. Maybe make it parallel with this display up here.
Would you stand up for just a
Yeah,
moment?
absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So just to give me scale, so just stand beside it. Okay.
So you can see, you know.
So is that the about the right?
This is probably kind of low.
That's a little low. You kind of want it nearly parallel with the Welch Allyn
Yeah,
screen.
you're going to want it about parallel, and
Okay.
you know, being rigid would help because, you know, you're tapping on the device, you're using the device, and so that's also part of vibrations weakening that ball joint.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great to know.
But
Okay.
yeah, you get it up at about that angle, and that's about where most of the nurses have it. And you have to remember most nurses, you know, typically it's female, and they're, you know,
A little shorter.
so you have to
You
be mindful of that they're not going to want it looking down on them.
Right. You don't want to have to look up at it
Yeah,
either.
but this side seems to be working pretty well, be pretty comfortable. I usually just try to, when I come back and realign it, I try to keep it lined up with the Welch Allyn screen.
Okay.
You know, because I figure that's a consistent workspace.
All right. So is there anything else? So having a different arm that's not so vulnerable to breaking.
Correct,
It
yeah.
doesn't have the problem with the
More
ball
robust
joints.
arm, better
And you're thinking
protection.
just rigid, so it doesn't have joints.
Right.
So just something pre-shaped in
Yeah.
the right position. No ball joints. They're not going to wear out.
99% of the way there, and that would save a lot of.
And if you have something that was relatively inexpensive, then you could just have a box of them. And
Exactly.
if it broke, just, here's another
No
one.
big deal, and I think if you have a rigid device, it'd be I don't think it would break. You know, that's the challenge with this is you have so many moving parts and ball joints in here that you're relying on all those to remain stable through movement and
Okay.
a lot of vibration.
And with regards to the arms, like, do you guys have any particular, like, hospital standards that are like, it's got to meet the standard?
No, not that I'm aware. Biomed would be the ones to inform on that.
Okay, so we should ask them about that.
You could ask them. Yeah, I don't think they're going to care as far as that. I mean, I think anything that's metal, and as long as it's not going to be prone to fall off and injure a patient.
Yeah.
You know, which is some of the concern I have here is with that thing whipping around. You know, because they're right next to the bed. You know, and if this comes and this arm flops down and knocks the guy, you know.
Now, another question I had that I thought of, or I wanted to ask you. So this thing is on the side and it's getting whacked on doors going through all the time.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any possibility that we could mount something, you know, somehow coming up from the top
You could, I think we had
Like-
talked about that originally when we were
Like we-
speccing out.
Like if we had a couple of big piece of pads that came up here in some
Yeah.
kind of unit with the iPod on it, then it wouldn't be on the
Could-
side.
The challenge then is just the workflow of having to reach up, and with employee health, if you're reaching up too high, you know, that's a shoulder, potential shoulder.
Oh, and especially if the
people
women
with
are
shoulder-
shorter.
Exactly, so if somebody's gonna be reaching up above their head,
Oh,
that's
okay.
something to be considered for, you know, is you wanna have right angles is what you're going for. And
Right.
so like when you're setting up a computer workstation, you wanna be at right angles. This is the same type of situation. So if you look where it is now,
Yeah.
you'd see about, you know, I can keep my hand at about a right angle, keep my wrist pretty straight while I'm working on the device. So
Great,
that
that's great
eliminates
feedback.
repetitive stress, and that's something to think about. But if you're going above your head, that's gonna be, you know, your wrist will be bent or.
It's gonna be more problematic.
Exactly, and so that would be, it's
Okay.
just something that we have to consider with these things.
Okay.
I only know that because we've run into these issues setting up workstations.
No, I appreciate your knowledge.
But-
All right, is there anything else on the Welch Allyn that we haven't touched base on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the scanner design is a whole, I think that's kind of a separate issue than the actual physical build, so. I don't
Yeah,
know if we need to go
yeah.
over that, but,
Now, a quick question, since you mentioned the scanner real quick.
yeah.
So I know that we have this outstanding issue of the FIPS 140-2, Bluetooth. FIPS 140-2 only works when the scanner is paired with the base wirelessly.
That's correct.
But Bluetooth wirelessly, FIPS 142 doesn't work, except what you have to do is flash it with the old stuff so that Bluetooth will work.
So the.
Bluetooth has its own form of encryption, but it's not FIPS 140-2.
Correct.
Okay, and so they've kind of given us a waiver or variance for the pilot?
Yeah, because I think with phase two, they figured that these were, okay, maybe these will be going, but, you know, now we're moving forward and still doing more of a mixed solution, you know, it's something we have to retouch on.
So, and then in the question, do you guys use scanners, non-Honeywell scanners for anything else in the hospital?
No, not as of now. I mean, there may be a few legacy devices that use an older scanner, but that's not anything that's currently supported, and nothing that's wireless. That's currently supported. We used a Motorola scanner for a little while in our essential supply, but that's not dealing with patient, you know, data and information. So
I see.
That was a different standard, and since they've been all replaced with the standard Honeywell scanners.
Okay, okay, great. All right, so what do you want to tell me? So now, this is a little different, put together a little different.
Dynamaps we see a lot less issues with because as you can see, the arm is a lot shorter and it's straight across here, so there's not as much of that flexibility that you get, you know, where it's sitting out on a, you know, on the end of a big lever.
So this is put together with the same two shoulder mounts, but the connection rod, which is the same material, is just a lot shorter.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's about an inch.
A lot shorter.
Yeah.
So, but you don't get the wobbling.
Correct. So there's not as much wobbling. It's a lot less prone to being, you know, injured and whipped around just because it's not moving. It's a lot more stable.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see this also on the Welch Allyn, this is the rigid mount that I use for the scanner.
Oh,
As you can
with the
see,
U
that's just-
joint.
Correct. So probably if we had more Dynamaps, it'd be better just to grab this joint for this, you know, and just reuse that arm.
Okay, and this is made by the same company?
Correct. Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
Company. And you can see on the base of the scanner here, there's also this little ball end attaches to a spacer that fits the 1902 mount.
Oh, I see. And where do you guys will let us know where you get that spacer?
Yeah, it's RAM mounts.
It's RAM mounts, everything's RAM mounts.
Everything's RAM mounts, yeah.
Okay.
Everything's RAM mounts for all the mounting.
Now here you've got a different.
That's a different power strip, yeah. Biomed sourced that. I think that was GCX or someone they got that from. And so I'm not sure. There might be a part number on it. I didn't go to the part number.
Okay, and do you encounter the same problems with these? People steal sometimes.
Yeah, the bricks are exactly. It's the same thing where you have this unprotected cable that's hanging out back, so it gets damaged or it's easily stolen.
Okay.
You know, chargers are a pretty high theft item. You see in the hospital.
Amazing.
So
It's like a quick
USB
$5
cords.
or something.
That's, yeah. I know. Well, it's just something they want you. The patient sees it and says, "Hey, I'm just gonna charge my phone. I'll give it back," or you know, I'll give it back.
okay.
So it may not necessarily be theft per se, as much as it is, you know, I'm gonna
Forgetfulness.
borrow this so I can charge my phone.
Okay, so there's so it's either the GE either has this blue power harness,
Correct.
or if it's the Welch Allyn, it has that. And those are the two power harnesses you're using.
Yeah.
Okay, and that one, the power harnesses are fine. Really, the problem is that these cords are sticking out at an angle, so they can you know, get damaged.
Yeah.
And people steal the bricks sometimes to do recharging.
Yep.
But other than that, so that's okay. The arm on the GE is okay, so that's not a big problem.
Yeah, the Dinamaps we don't have as much of an issue with, just because of, you know, it being a little bit more rigid mount.
Now, one of the things you mentioned on the Welch Allyn is this gets hit and you'd like a rubber sleeve or something, more of a bumper
Dinamap,
here.
we still see the same issue.
You see the same issue,
Just
okay.
because it's unprotected, you know, out there.
Okay,
And there's also chemical intrusion is something to be considered with these because they are sanitized. Being that they're in and out of patient rooms, especially, you know, if there's a C. diff patient or various infection control measures. So they do have to, you know, be protected from bleach, from quaternary ammonia, from, you know, all the various type of cleaners, alcohol, disinfectants and antiseptics that they use. And so as of now, they're just sitting out here bare, and a lot of times we don't see a lot of seeping in around the screen. Let me find my key here. We can see if this one's showing corrosion. But what you do see is you start seeing corrosion in the charging ports, which I clean out whenever I try to open these up. I try to clean that out. Oh, wonderful! That one was unlocked. Yeah, well, so you can see if you look at the charger port down here, it's got a little bit of greenish corrosion there on the copper contacts, and that's something that we have to clean off pretty frequently because they don't charge. Okay. And then the charging port also takes a fair amount of damage.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just from having all the liquid intrusion, you know,
from the cleansers.
Correct. Because they have to get it wet and it has to have a dwell time. You know, I think with the ammonia wipes, I think it's the dwell time of 2 minutes. With the bleach wipes, I think it's a dwell time of 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
So you need to have it wet and sitting wet for a period of time. And that's something infection control that our folks are trained on. You can also see the damage it does to the back of the case.
Oh yeah.
Where it's bleached out, you know, in certain areas. Not that really affects functionality, but...
No, but the dwell time is a new thing to me.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
No. So the dwell time is a big, and that's even, you know, for the folks at home, that's a big thing of, you know, when you're even cleaning at home with bleach and everything. Yeah, you can bleach stuff, but if it doesn't sit there wet for at least 2 minutes, it's not effective.